Good morning, everyone. Terry and I are delighted to be here with you. We aligned our talk today with three themes from the Synod: communion, participation, and mission. So according to the program, Terry and I are the only people who are presenting as a pair, resulting in the requirement to plan and write something cooperatively, to hold our own little synod, so to speak. An family life, because at one point our son came up the stairs and said, "Hey, is everything okay up here?" And I said, I guess we were having a very spirited conversation at that point. But we managed to work something out for you this morning, and together to present the theme today of living out our baptismal promise as a married couple. So about 40 years ago, Terry and I met right here at St. Jerome's University. So it's so wonderful to be back again and walk through all the different buildings that we recognize and grew in. We entered into a course called Church in the Modern World with our wonderful professor, Father Suddy MacDonald, and we learned about Vatican II's mission to open the windows and let the fresh air in. And we learned about the Church's, the Vatican II's mission to update practices and teachings as well. That class in particular awakened a vision of the Church that has shaped us ever since. So it's rooted in tradition, but it boldly engages with the complexities of modern life as well. We originated from different Catholic experiences. I was raised in Northern Ontario in Elliott Lake in the Diocese of Sault Ste. Marie. And that was under Cardinal Carter. And it really was a place where Catholicism was intertwined with social action, openness, and the presence of women leaders everywhere. Terry grew up in the Diocese of Hamilton, immersed in a more traditional form of Catholic practice, altar serving, daily mass during high school, and strong sense of Catholic identity.
Despite these differences, we came to fall in love, and we were married. And one of the, and just jumping off script here, because I just wanted to say a shout out for Sister Pauline, because in my ministry at one point, I ended up at St. Pius X Parish, and I had the privilege of working with Sister. So I just that was really nice in terms of experiencing today just now. But our point in terms of being married and seeing ourselves as Catholics and what we wanted to do with the world. And I was, in my early years, I was studying to be a priest, thinking about that. And we had a conversation, Carol and I, in our early days, saying, I don't know if I want to get married, you know, because it seems easy. I wanted to experience, I wanted to do a priestly life. I wanted a hard life. And she said,
I promised him that.
she said, I promise you, I'll make it hard. And so there we were, here at this university, and our vision of Catholicism widened. Initially from like a pro-life stance in terms of, I was the president of the Right to Life Club here at the University of Waterloo at that time. And so we, together, especially through Carol, my sense of Catholicism broadened, and became more aware and learned of, in terms of the dignity of the poor and working, not through charity, but through relationships. And that shift for us really came clear when we had the opportunity to go to Tanzania through the Missionary Society of the Precious Blood. And there we worked on water infrastructure and food distributing. But we also learned the limits of charity, and charity without accompaniment. And we realized that we're not just there to fix things, we're there to listen and to learn and to recognize Christ is already present there. we didn't need to bring them. And that realization further transformed us. After Toronto, we moved to Toronto. After Tanzania, we moved to Toronto and became active in the Archdiocese Youth Corps, founded by Father Tom McKillop. And I also have another guest, another person here, Dora Sullivan, that I met through the Youth Corps, who also became a very important person in my life. In that work, offering pastoral support to youth through school retreats, drop-ins, parish outreach, we also became involved with the Catholic worker movement through building relationships at Angela's house at that time, and to experience a deepening call to the gospel. When we eventually moved to Waterloo, we joined the St. Louis parish, which has been our spiritual home since. St. Louis, like University of St. Jerome's, was founded by the Congregation of the Resurrectionists. And they provided, once again, a space for us to wrestle with the difficult truths while remaining grounded in a community of faith. In those early years, we purchased a home together with another Catholic family, and we lived in an intentional Christian community. We shared meals, parenting, spiritual life, discerning whether to formally start a Catholic worker house here in Waterloo. That dream was not fully realized, but the experience grounded us in hospitality and shared faith.
I homeschooled our 4 children in their early years, and I experienced a wide spectrum of home education groups, from very conservative Christian circles who actually thought Catholics weren't Christians, to progressive unschoolers. So it was great. It was wild. It really was. And then I later returned to work as a Catholic teacher. My work is specifically in special education as a focus. I also learned so much through the Catechesis of the Good Shepherd, which is a catechetical program based in Montessori education. My ongoing work in our schools as a special education teacher is such important work. Every day at schools we stretch to include all students, and some days that's very difficult. To include and to consistently have them participate. And it's such important work of the gospel. In many ways, our schools are the place where church happens now. In my role, I encounter the living church daily, broken, hurting, but also full of joy, resilience, and the grace of community. I've seen families and staff members come together in solidarity. Schools have become a place of refuge, and students discover their voices. Schools are really an expression of what Pope Francis speaks about. He calls the church a modern-day field hospital. That really resonates with me as a teacher in school. People arriving with their wounds, with their hopes, and us meeting them with welcome and with care. And with skill, I might add. It is never complete work, but we trust in its future, and that trust is its own kind of faith.
This daily work that we have always embarked in terms of meeting people where they're at and learning what that means, accepting what is real, right? Loving people who are in front of us as they are. Even from that early time when my first experience of being a youth minister at St. Pius X Church, I remember in terms of from Sister Pauline, the idea of being yourself and accepting and enjoying the humor that comes with that, with working with people. And that in terms of that idea of the profoundness of the person in front of us. And we learn to delight in that. And in our lives, there were many, sometimes in our talk, we were planning this, and it's like, this is really sad. A lot of our stuff are things we're thinking about, but we didn't want to convey that. We want to definitely convey the joy of our lives and the unexpected laughter. That it was hard, and Carol made it hard. But, yeah. But the unexpected laughter of shared meals, surprise encounters with people in our lives, and the gladness of seeing our children grow into themselves with such courage and creativity. It's wonderful. But also it meant facing the sorrow of seeing others walk away. Didn't expect that part, but especially when the church doesn't honor the LGBTQ in our lives. One of our children came out as transgender. That experience brought us face to face with the exclusion of this church. Realizing that the church we raised our child in was no longer home for her. We experienced grief, the silence and anger, and for a time our relationship with our child and our church was deeply strained. But we stayed faithful. We stayed faithful to our church, and we remained supportive to our child. We lived in the tension. In this tension, we discovered ourselves as church. To our church, St. Louis and the greater church, and to our child. And it's not easy. Participation, the call to participation in the life of the church is to do so even when it doesn't feel easy or welcoming. It's about the presence. It's about showing up again and again in the unknowing. That same child who struggled so profoundly is also one of the most spiritually aware people I know. Their questions force us to confront what faith really means when doctrine no longer provides support. Their pain became our school of discipleship. My understanding of the church's mission played out not only in the context of her life, but also in the work that I did as a teacher. As a religion teacher, I had to start to learn the lessons again to myself, what I was teaching the kids. It's so easy, as we know, to teach the kids what they need to do, than to actually, as I'm talking to them, I'm starting to listen to myself talking, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe I should be doing what I'm saying. And that idea of really convinced of, the idea that I talk about life as a trip, and which is when we see it as trip, it's the expected versus life as a journey, which is the encounter of the unknown, and really our lives are that. And becoming aware of that for myself. That our parenting is a journey. With the complexities, neurodivergence, the anxieties, the emotional intensity that shaped our home, at times we were doing the same things as other families, but we just weren't getting the same results. There were just moments of isolation and heartbreak. But in that sadness and the darkness, we found what it means to love persistently and to keep showing up, even when nothing is clear. Father Richard Rohr, which you're familiar with, and his teachings of non-dual thinking, really helped us hold our grief and our hopes together. It helped us to move further into an understanding of a God of paradox. That Jesus' death wasn't just one transactional action, right? And one transactional sacrifice. It was an outcome of radical love, of a life lived in radical love. And that the mission of the church, the mission of us, is to follow that path, is to be willing to suffer the cost of compassion, to hold space for others, even when it's difficult, to be in those in-between places. A parable that Carol and I often refer to and go back to is the parable of the sower. We cast that seed into uncertain soil. We don't know what will take root. We do it anyways. And that's living out our promise. That's what it means to us, casting the seed, hoping for growth, trusting in the mystery. When we were married, we understood our bond to be not just a personal bond, we understood it as a witness. And We understood a union as the commitment to serve others. We picked the gospel reading for our wedding, "You are the salt of the earth, you are the light of the world." Now, at the time, it's, we were the light of the world. We've got all the answers. Look at us go. I don't think it was well received by my family personally. I think they wanted a little more humility from me and us. But that's how we felt. We wanted to be the light of the world. We had no idea what that meant. Or the salt. We knew it was a good thing, though. To be salt and light is not to be flashy. Salt quietly preserves life, and light gently illuminates a path. But that's the life we chose, and that's the life our parents wanted for us when they baptized us as infants. And that's the life we wanted to model, even in the uncertainty. So we're not experts, and but we are faithful. We believe that our story is just one example of our church. That it's alive, it's alive in our families and our parishes and the quiet acts of love. And in the end, we return again to the table, to the Eucharist. The fragmented body becomes whole again. And that's what we hope in. When I retired, we had a family photo, and everybody of our family was in it. We hadn't had a family photo for 10 years. It was very special. So we come together, the fragmented body who becomes whole again. And that's what we hope to be. A small part of the body, broken, blessed, and poured out for the world.
As a married couple, we see the Synod as a powerful call that our shared life, marked by love, mutual respect, and service, is not just personal, but a model for the church itself.
It calls for a church that listens deeply, walks with the hurting, and shares responsibility, bold enough to change. Not out of fear, but out of fidelity to the gospel. It's been a privilege
To be with you.
to be with you. Thank you.